Welcome back to the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. Today I'd like to take a few minutes and talk about my loading dock that I'm using or just made for my sawmill. My sawmill is supposed to be in on Tuesday of this week. Right now it's the 23rd, so 3 more days. So it's going to be here a little bit ahead of schedule, about a week. But what I've been doing, or what I've been working on this morning and last evening, was getting ready to get the loading dock for the logs to go up on the mill. And so I want to show you what I did. And again, the whole thing has only cost me about the equivalency of maybe $1 or $2 in nails and screws. And so let's have a look at what I did here. All right, so I know the way the sun is coming in here, it's going to be a little difficult, so I will try to zero in and show you what I've done from a couple different angles. Let's just step back here and you can see, I'm getting the shade here a bit. This is what the loading dock is going to look or looks like. We're right in the, got some really heavy shadows here. What I did is I took 3 different logs, and I had cut them down over in the other part of my property. They were dead and ready to fall anyway, and you can see some pieces there. There's one there and a couple more over here, just pieces of it. And what I did is I cut them in about 8-foot lengths. So I wanted a dock about 8 feet long or so I could put 3 or 4 logs on at a time, so you're not stopping all the time to load. And I leveled those docks, or those logs for the dock, by using some concrete pads that I found here. You can kind of see them down in here, these concrete. And then what I did is I drove a couple posts down in the ground. They're not that big. They're about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. And they were about maybe 20 inches long. I sharpened the ends with my old hatchet here. And I drove those down in the ground on each side. So you can kind of see here. Again, I apologize for the shadows. But put one on each side. So I got one here and one on the other side. And I did that on both ends of the 8-foot log. And that way it's holding the log from rolling, and it's holding it level. So this whole log, running the whole length here, all of these logs are level both lengthwise and then across. I leveled across so they would be even as I rolled things up on it. Now the other thing that I did, in order to be able to walk in between where I'm going to be working, you can see here, this is where the rails are going to be for the sawmill. And I need to be able to walk in between here when I'm running the sawmill. So I stopped the logs short at about 34 inches from the actual rail. Again, you can see all of these have the posts and the little blocks underneath of them. And then what I did is I had some 4-foot pieces of pine trees and stuff that I'd been cutting up earlier in the summer, and I just took a piece 4 feet long. I'm going to zero in on what I did here. You can kind of see I made a notch in the end of this log here. This log's probably about 8 inches. These are running about 3.5 or so, and made a notch and set these down in. So I'll just pop one up out. You can see what I did here. Come down in really close. Kind of see what I did. I just took the chainsaw and notched those out. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. And then what I did is I put, so I zero out here just a bit. Then what I did is I drove these nails down in, I just drilled a hole so I can take these nails right out. So they'll set right on. I can just drop a nail down in like so. and that's ready to go. And that comes over, and that's going to be sitting on the main rails to load on. And so slide that over. I just got a block on it right now to hold it. The mill that I'm getting is a Woodland Mill, and the specs on it call for about 8 inches to 10 and I think it's 10 and 5/8, 7 and 7/8 total, to about 10 and 5/8 as far as the height on the, by the time you get the pads on and the rails. So what I did is I set this as low as possible. I'll take these blocks out eventually. This will actually set on the rails, and I can adjust them, and if I have to notch this to get it even with the tops of the bunks that are going across, that's what I'm gearing for. And so these, all 3 of these pieces, 1, 2, 3, when I am loading logs onto the mill, and I'll show you this in action when we get the mill going, but all I'll do is just pop these off and just lay them beside the logs here, in beside the rails, and that way I can walk right through here as I'm cutting. So again, just to step back and look at what we have here. Those 3 are all level, and they're running level this way as well. So it's these logs, I already put one up on here. As you can see, this is a big oak log. One of the first things I'll cut. It was a tree that had fallen down probably a year and a half or so ago, but it's still got some really good wood in it. But what you can see is I'll just pop these off, and I'll be able to walk back and forth, and anytime I want to load, I just set those back on and load my sawmill. Now if we move over here to the other end, what we have here is kind of a similar situation. What I did is I took, again, these are 8-foot logs here, these are roughly 4 foot. So all told, with the 2 4s and the 8, we're looking at roughly 16 feet from clear over to the front here to the back. So I can load 8 feet of logs in here and have them ready. But all I did is I just took some, again, 4-foot pieces of pine that I had left over, stuff that I've been cutting. And again, what I did is I stepped in and I notched. On the other end, I notched in about 6.5 inches. Here, I went in about 4.5. All I need is enough to get this piece in, and this will come right out if I want to take it out. But obviously, at this point, I don't need to take it out. This is where I'm going to be loading, so it's the other end that needs to come out. But this can become apart, and you can see. I'll come down here. It's got a slight angle down, and I just buried it in the ground at ground level. And so you can see that, and there's the post and the cement block in underneath of there. And again over here, same type of thing, angle down. All you need these at is ground. All you need these at is ground level. But everything else, when it comes up onto these are all level, clear across. And so I put a pretty heavy log on there. Nothing moved. So I'm going to load it up with the rest of these logs over here. I've got about 5 of them. Probably get 4 up on it. But yeah, that's the cheapest way I've seen to do a loading dock for your sawmill. And like I said, on a Woodland sawmill, you've got from 7 and 7/8 to 10 and 5/8, I think, are the maximum height that you can get for the rails. So as long as you build this this loading dock equal to the tops of the bunks, anywhere between 8 and 10 and 5/8 inches, you're good. You can do it before the mill actually gets here, and that's what I've done. So I'm going to be ready to go once I get the mill all set up. So I think that's just about everything for now. The rest of the afternoon I'm going to go over in this area. I've got a couple trees that's got to come down because they're rotten. I just noticed that the other day, so I'm going to take them down and get them ready for cutting up. And until we get our mill, hopefully the next video I will do is assembling the sawmill. And so you can get an idea of how to do that and any other issues that I run into. So once again, thanks for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you next time. So from the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman, you have a great day.